is crazy. He is crazy. He wants to live in my skin.
Things may not be perfect inside the marriage of future NBA Hall of Famer and all-time great LeBron James. Savannah James has been speaking more openly, and what she has shared has raised eyebrows. It suggests a relationship built on love, yes, but also on boundaries, negotiations, and hard conversations. Let's get into it. The cracks in the foundation did not appear overnight. LeBron James and Savannah Brinson met in 2002 in Akron, Ohio. He was 17, a junior at St. Vincent St. Mary High School. She was 16, a sophomore at rival Bucknell High School. A mutual friend introduced them at a local football game. LeBron invited her to one of his basketball games. Savannah went, saw the crowd's reaction, took his number instead of giving hers, and called him weeks later. Their early dates were simple. Applebee's with friends, then Outback Steakhouse. By 2003, LeBron was drafted first overall by the Cleveland Cavaliers, jumping straight from high school to the NBA. Savannah stayed behind in Akron. In 2004, Savannah learned she was pregnant. She later admitted she feared the timing could derail both their futures. Their son, LeBron "Bronny" James Jr., was born October 6, 2004. Their second son, Bryce Maximus, arrived June 14, 2007. Still, marriage did not happen. Not yet. The wedding would not come until 2013, 11 years after they met and after 2 children. During those years, Savannah made her expectations clear. In August 2024, on her podcast, Everybody's Crazy, she revealed she had corrected LeBron on how he introduced her publicly. She said she hated the term wifey and told him plainly that she deserved the title of wife only when the time was right. She was not accepting casual labels. She was waiting for commitment. That commitment arrived on New Year's Eve 2011 when LeBron proposed at a party surrounded by friends, including Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union. He later described the proposal as nerve-wracking, comparable to a finals game. They married September 14, 2013, in San Diego. Their daughter, Juri Nova, was born October 22, 2014. The timeline matters. It shows boundaries, corrections, and negotiations existed long before the wedding. In 2010, LeBron chose to leave Cleveland for Miami. Savannah defended him publicly and stood by him through backlash, jersey burnings, and criticism. But standing by him did not mean everything was easy. In December 2025, LeBron acknowledged that after 23 years together and 12 years of marriage, their relationship was not picture perfect. He admitted it required navigating adversity. In September 2025, he told Yahoo that relationships are not always a bed of roses, especially when they begin in high school and grow under pressure. Working through discomfort, he said, was unavoidable. Their story reflects patience, timing, and insistence on respect. It highlights growth from teenagers into partners raising a family under constant public scrutiny. Love remained, but it evolved through boundaries, accountability, and choosing each other repeatedly despite fame, pressure, and expectations. Over many years, Savannah has been even more direct in how she talks about marriage. On her podcast, she openly described marriage as the real ghetto sometimes, a phrase that quickly went viral because of how blunt and unromantic it sounded. But her point was clear. She was talking about personal growth, misalignment, and the reality that 2 people do not evolve at the same pace forever. She also offered pointed advice to listeners, warning against rushing into marriage simply because of time, pressure, or public expectation. Marriage is a huge commitment, and if you're not ready, keep being a girlfriend and a boyfriend. I don't think you should rush into marriage at all. That's a recipe for disaster. These are not the words of people selling a fairy tale. These are the words of someone describing work, effort, compromise, and discomfort. The high school sweetheart narrative is easy to sell. It looks great on magazine covers and sounds perfect in interviews. But the people living inside that story have repeatedly made it clear that the reality is far more complicated. Then there are the rumors that have followed the relationship for years. Persistent and unverified claims have circulated online, suggesting LeBron has been unfaithful. Discussions on platforms like Reddit and X have alleged affairs with models or influencers, often framed as open secrets within NBA circles. A 2022 Reddit thread discussing supposed league rumors included users claiming LeBron's infidelity was widely known but carefully managed to protect his brand. One commenter even claimed to have witnessed LeBron cheating on Savannah, while others debated whether the couple had some form of understanding or arrangement. Another user pushed back, arguing that Savannah was deeply hurt and did not marry to share her husband. None of these claims have ever been confirmed. Neither LeBron nor Savannah has acknowledged or validated any of the allegations. Still, the rumors have lingered for years, and Savannah's own public reflections have fueled renewed curiosity about what life inside their marriage actually looks like. The pandemic period added another layer to that conversation. The COVID-19 lockdowns pulled the curtain back on many relationships, forcing couples to confront realities they could previously outrun with busy schedules. For Savannah James, that period exposed a feeling she said had been building for some time: depletion. In a June 2024 Harper's Bazaar interview, Savannah spoke candidly about the emotional and mental weight of being a mother, a wife, and an individual while supporting one of the most famous athletes on the planet. Her honesty cut sharply through the carefully maintained image of a flawless power couple. She explained that when she was operating from a glass half empty, she was not good to anyone around her. She described women like herself as maestros, juggling countless responsibilities and often forgetting to refill their own cups. What truly caught public attention, however, was her elaboration. She acknowledged that she sometimes felt depleted and unable to be the best version of herself as a mother or a wife. Being fully present felt impossible. During the pandemic, she said her children were fine and LeBron was somewhere doing something while she retreated inward. She described disappearing into her bathroom, taking long baths, watching makeup tutorials she loved, or simply doing something that brought her peace. Those quiet moments became her survival mechanism. That single phrase, "he was somewhere doing something," became the focal point of intense media scrutiny. Its vagueness invited interpretation. Where was LeBron during a time when families were supposedly locked down together? Why did Savannah feel alone enough to disappear for relief? Media outlets and blogs seized on the quote, framing it as possible evidence of marital strain and linking it back to the long-standing infidelity rumors that have shadowed their relationship for more than a decade. The speculation intensified in 2024 when paparazzi photos surfaced of Savannah in Paris alongside rapper Pusha T, while LeBron remained in the United States. Although no wrongdoing was alleged or proven, the images fueled online chatter and reinforced a narrative that the couple was often physically and emotionally apart. In October 2024, Savannah appeared on the Tamron Hall show with her podcast co-host April McDaniel, where she reframed her earlier comments within a broader discussion about mental health and self-prioritization. She connected her experience to her Let It Break initiative, a platform designed to encourage women to acknowledge burnout, set boundaries, and choose themselves without guilt. Savannah did not present herself as a victim. Instead, she positioned herself as a woman who recognized her limits within an intense and demanding life. Still, the message underneath remained unmistakable. Being married to LeBron James came with an emotional cost the public rarely saw. Her closing affirmation, "You're enough," resonated deeply with women navigating similar dynamics, while also underscoring the invisible labor required to maintain her own identity inside a marriage defined by extraordinary fame. The retreats to her bathroom were not simple self-care rituals or casual moments of relaxation. They were acts of survival, stolen fragments of time carved out from a life that demanded constant performance for cameras, fans, and the relentless machinery of professional sports fame. Makeup tutorials and long baths became her sanctuary, rare spaces where she could exist without the titles of wife, mother, or the woman forever positioned beside the king. Supporters viewed her candor as empowering, a rare and honest glimpse behind the velvet rope of celebrity marriage that humanized a woman often reduced to red carpets, courtside seats, and supportive smiles. Critics, however, interpreted her words differently, reading them as veiled frustration, breadcrumbs hinting at something darker beneath the polished exterior. The Times of India reported on the emotional and mental toll she described, framing her experience within the pressures of motherhood and the unique strain faced by women partnered with elite athletes. Raising 3 children, Bronny, Bryce, and Jury, while navigating constant relocations from Cleveland to Miami, back to Cleveland, and eventually to Los Angeles in 2018, created a life in perpetual motion, anchored only by Savannah's own resolve. Her admission that she was not always the best version of herself spoke to a universal truth many women recognize. Yet the specificity of her reality made it especially striking. She was married to a man whose career dictated every major decision, whose fame invited constant intrusion, and whose schedule guaranteed absence during pivotal family moments. She was not just tired. She was depleted by a lifestyle that celebrated her husband while requiring her to remain composed and grateful in the shadows. The bathroom became a metaphor, a locked door, running water, a screen showing someone else applying makeup. These were tools of resistance against erasure, small acts of reclamation that allowed her to return to her responsibilities renewed, or at least functional. Still, the question lingered. Why did she need to disappear at all? And what was LeBron doing that placed him somewhere else while his wife retreated inward? Neither has answered directly. The ambiguity persists, feeding a narrative that the James marriage, while enduring, operates under pressures that would fracture lesser bonds. That it has not broken speaks to commitment. That Savannah felt compelled to escape speaks to cost. Over time, Savannah James has built a fortress around her marriage, brick by deliberate brick, establishing boundaries both spoken and unspoken that have become subjects of public fascination. These are not the casual preferences of a private individual. They are calculated defenses formed over 2 decades of living beside one of the most scrutinized athletes in modern history. The most visible example surfaced in 2024, when viral videos from Lakers games captured Savannah politely declining photographs with male fans while posing comfortably with women. Social media seized on the pattern, circulating captions noting that Savannah James only takes pictures with women and refuses photos with men. Speculation followed instantly. Was this jealousy formalized, a response to long-running infidelity rumors? Or was it simply a woman protecting her household from even the appearance of impropriety in an environment where gossip thrives? Fan reactions split sharply. Some praised her strategy, calling it wisdom, and applauding her for safeguarding her family. Others saw as evidence of marriage under siege, requiring constant vigilance against perceived threats. Savannah's stylist later offered context, explaining that she is kind to everyone and that refusals often stem from aggressive behavior, cameras shoved into her face without consent. Still, the pattern was consistent enough to become news, suggesting something more systematic than momentary discomfort. The photography boundary was only the most visible layer of a broader system Savannah had established. Years earlier, her insistence that LeBron not refer to her as wifey before marriage reflected the same instinct applied to language itself. She rejected labels that diminish her status or implied entitlement without commitment. Her statement on her podcast, "Everybody's Crazy," was unequivocal. She said she hated the term with her entire soul. It was not phrased as a preference, but as a principle. A line drawn clearly, one that even LeBron James is expected to respect. Outkick later framed the moment as Savannah setting her husband straight, casting her boundary as corrective rather than merely protective. The implication was unmistakable. In a world where athletes' partners are often treated as accessories, Savannah demanded formal recognition through formal titles and formal commitment. Her boundaries were not about control. They were about preservation, dignity, and survival inside a life that asked her to give endlessly while remaining invisible. Mara covered the story by highlighting Savannah opening up about setting boundaries with the NBA legend long before marriage, positioning her as a woman who always understood the stakes of her relationship and protected herself accordingly. These boundaries were not afterthoughts or reactions to scandal. They were preemptive defenses built directly into the foundation of their partnership. From the beginning, Savannah appeared to recognize that loving a generational athlete required safeguards that most relationships never need. Those protections extended beyond private interactions into her public messaging. On her podcast, she repeatedly advised women not to rush into marriage, calling it a massive commitment and warning that premature unions often become a recipe for disaster. The advice carried the weight of lived experience, subtly reframing her own 11-year wait before marrying LeBron as intentional strategy rather than hesitation. Her message emphasized readiness over romance and pragmatism over passion, prioritizing sustainability over fairy tale timing. Delivered by a woman who had maintained a relationship for more than 2 decades with one of the most famous men on earth, the guidance carried credibility few voices could rival. The persistent infidelity rumors provided the backdrop against which these boundaries operated. Online discussions across Reddit and X have long alleged affairs, with some users claiming insider knowledge of LeBron's behavior. While never substantiated, the rumors created an atmosphere where every interaction was scrutinized, every image parsed for hidden meaning. The Sports Rush noted Savannah's apparent photo boundary as something fans themselves had observed, framing it as protective rather than paranoid. In a media ecosystem where a single photograph could spiral into weeks of speculation, caution became a form of self-defense. Sandra Rose covered Savannah declining photos with men, using language that framed her actions as rejection rather than preference, exposing how women in her position are criticized regardless of choice. Protecting a marriage invites accusations of jealousy. Failing to do so invites claims of ignorance. Savannah has never publicly declared a formal photo policy, preserving plausible deniability around her motivations. Yet the consistency of her behavior spoke louder than any explanation. The boundary required no justification precisely because it allowed no exceptions. Taken together, these measures painted a portrait of a woman who understood that survival in her circumstances demanded vigilance. She was not paranoid. She was prepared. She was not insecure. She was strategic. In a marriage shadowed by unproven but relentless rumors, her boundaries functioned as both shield and statement, signaling that whatever imperfections existed privately, she would not provide fuel for public exploitation. In September 2024, Savannah made a revelation that reframed the mythology surrounding her relationship with LeBron. It was not romantic destiny that sustained them through decades of fame, children, and scrutiny. It was geography. She admitted that LeBron being drafted to the Cleveland Cavaliers in 2003 may have saved their relationship. Growing up just 30 minutes apart in Akron allowed their teenage bond to deepen without the strain of distance. She openly questioned whether they would have survived if his career had taken him elsewhere, even suggesting LeBron himself might agree. The comment cut through years of carefully polished narratives about inevitable love. This was not a relationship that would have conquered any obstacle. It was one that endured because circumstances aligned. Had another franchise with similar lottery odds selected him, the trajectory of their lives could have diverged entirely. Essentially, Sports framed the admission as Savannah acknowledging that her love story with LeBron might have ended over a single deal breaker: distance. The teenage relationship required Akron to remain the center of their world during its most fragile years. Basketball Network echoed the sentiment, noting Savannah's willingness to publicly admit that she and LeBron might not have ended up together, a possibility she had clearly contemplated long before speaking aloud. The vulnerability suggested genuine uncertainty rather than modesty. That geographic fragility gained deeper resonance when viewed against the relocations that followed. In 2010, LeBron's move to Miami represented exactly the type of separation Savannah had implied might have ended them earlier. She defended him publicly amid jersey burnings and intense backlash, uprooting her life for his career. Miami meant leaving the familiarity that had anchored their bond and stepping into the isolating glare of South Beach celebrity. Savannah adapted, even running a juice business during his heat years, but the displacement challenged the very foundation she credited with their survival. The return to Cleveland in 2014 restored geographic balance, while introducing championship pressure. LeBron's 2016 Finals victory validated years of sacrifice, fulfilling a hometown promise that symbolized collective endurance. Yet stability was short-lived. In 2018, they moved again when LeBron signed with the Lakers, trading Ohio roots for Los Angeles ambition. Each relocation layered new strain onto a marriage already shaped by fame, reinforcing the reality Savannah had articulated all along. Their relationship survived not because it was effortless or mythical, but because it was managed, protected, and repeatedly renegotiated in the face of forces that could have easily pulled it apart. Each move represented a renegotiation of their partnership, with Savannah's career ambitions, social ties, and sense of place repeatedly subordinated to LeBron's professional trajectory. These relocations were not collaborative discussions. They were announcements, decisions made in boardrooms and front offices that Savannah learned to absorb and adapt to rather than influence. Over time, the imbalance became structural. As LeBron entered what many observers described as a twilight phase of his playing career, the pressures intensified rather than eased. By 2025, signs emerged that the strain was becoming increasingly difficult for the family to sustain. During a dinner in New York City, LeBron was overheard saying, "Savannah wants me to have ****ing retire in the next year or so," a comment that exposed private tension surrounding his future. The remarks surfaced shortly after LeBron opted into his $52.6 million player option with the Lakers for the 2025-26 season, marking an unprecedented 23rd year in the NBA. CBS Sports reported on the moment as evidence of family-driven pressure, framing Savannah's concern around health, time, and the desire to end his career with dignity rather than linger past his prime. The possibility of playing alongside his sons, Bronny and Bryce, offered a poetic conclusion. But that narrative required timing that appeared misaligned with Savannah's priorities. Men's Journal described the overheard exchange as a retirement bombshell, suggesting it caught even seasoned observers off guard. Publicly, the Jameses had long projected unity around LeBron's longevity. Privately, the revelation suggested negotiation rather than harmony. Hindustan Times explored LeBron's decision to opt in despite retirement speculation, positioning the move as potentially defiant rather than fully collaborative. While the financial incentive was undeniable, the choice also extended a family routine Savannah had endured for more than 2 decades. Essentially, sports framed the situation as a continuation of a disheartening cycle that had bothered Savannah for 22 years, acknowledging the cumulative toll of NBA life. Missed holidays, fractured routines, and prolonged absences were not temporary sacrifices, but permanent fixtures of their marriage that only retirement could truly resolve. LeBron himself has acknowledged Savannah's influence on his health habits, admitting she gets frustrated with his late bedtimes tied to recovery demands. These minor frictions reflected deeper tensions between competitive obsession and domestic presence, between legacy building and simply being home. The questions surrounding their marriage had shifted. It was no longer whether they would stay together, but how much longer Savannah would accept the terms as they stood. Her public reflections on depletion, her carefully maintained boundaries, and her acknowledgement that geography once held them together all pointed toward a woman who had given much and was approaching the limits of her endurance. External attacks only amplified those pressures. In April 2025, rapper Kevin Gates launched a highly public critique of LeBron and Savannah's marriage that forced both into response mode, revealing the defensive posture they have long maintained against intrusion. Gates' comments were racially charged, sexist, and intentionally provocative. He stated that he disliked the way Savannah looked at LeBron and claimed to prefer how white women looked at him. Characterizing Savannah as a warden policing her husband, he suggested he would never trade places with LeBron because the marriage resembled confinement rather than partnership. The remarks carried unmistakable undertones, reducing Savannah's protective instincts to control while contrasting her unfavorably with unnamed white women. For a black woman who had spent years constructing boundaries to shield her family from precisely this type of judgment, the attack cut directly into the architecture of her self-protection. Savannah's response was measured and indirect. She posted a Nicki Minaj meme with the caption, "What? Chili. Anyways," acknowledging the noise without granting it legitimacy. The message signaled awareness without engagement, dismissing the commentary as beneath her. LeBron responded more forcefully. He posted photos of Savannah with the caption, "Kings don't concern themselves with the opinions of peasants," followed by "We're the next queen." The message was unmistakable. His marriage was secure, his wife elevated, and critics irrelevant. Vibe later reported that Gates attended a Lakers game courtside shortly afterward, escalating the tension from online commentary into physical proximity, a move many interpreted as deliberate provocation. The episode illustrated how attacks on their marriage extended beyond social media into real-world encounters, requiring constant navigation of hostile terrain. The Gates incident was only the most visible example of a pattern that followed them for years. Persistent infidelity rumors formed a constant background hum against which every public appearance was measured. Anonymous discussions on Reddit in 2022 framed LeBron's alleged cheating as an open secret, with users claiming first-hand knowledge, while others speculated about private arrangements within the marriage. None of the claims were ever substantiated, yet their repetition gave them staying power. Every photograph, every interaction, every perceived distance between LeBron and Savannah was examined for confirmation or denial. This narrative shadow required careful management, reinforcing the necessity of Savannah's boundaries and strategic restraint. Within that climate, her public praise of LeBron carried added weight. Each supportive gesture functioned not only as affirmation of their bond, but as rebuttal to a narrative eager to fracture it. Their marriage endured not because it was untouched by pressure, but because it was constantly defended, recalibrated, and negotiated under conditions few relationships are forced to survive.